Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a young man who loved to ride his horse across the wide open plains. He was known throughout the countryside as the Storm Chaser, for he had a wild streak in him and delighted in riding out into the storms that brewed on the horizon and then racing them home. One day, as he was riding through the plains, he saw dark clouds gathering in the distance, and so he turned his horse toward them and soon enough was running full tilt across the fields. The wind whipped through his hair as he raced the oncoming storm, its booming thunder sounding like a giant drum in the sky. Lightning flashed, illuminating the worried face of his horse, whose name was Comet. "Don't be afraid, old friend," called the Storm Chaser, his voice barely audible above the rising wind. "This is just another adventure for us." And indeed, they had been through many such adventures together. As they ran, the wind grew stronger, almost strong enough to knock the Storm Chaser off his horse. The lightning grew closer, as if the sky itself were reaching out to touch them. And still, he pressed on, urging Comet forward with a flick of his whip. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the storm was upon them, and the sky above roared with its full force. The rain fell in torrents, the thunder boomed, and the lightning flashed, momentarily turning day into night. The Storm Chaser hunched low over his horse's neck, shielding his face with one arm, and together they fought their way through the tempest. And yet, even in the midst of the raging storm, the young man felt a growing unease. This was no ordinary storm. He could feel it in his bones. It was a wild, untamed thing, and it seemed to grow stronger with every passing moment. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the storm started to fade. The rain turned to a drizzle, the thunder to a murmur, and the lightning to a distant flicker. And as the clouds parted, the Storm Chaser saw something that made him gasp in amazement. Before him stretched a magnificent rainbow, its colors bright and clear against the dark backdrop of the receding storm. But what caught his eye was a spot just beyond the end of the rainbow, where the clouds were parted, revealing a glimpse of a valley bathed in sunlight. It looked like a peaceful dream compared to the wild storm they had just endured. Curiosity overcoming his fear, the Storm Chaser urged Comet forward. As they approached, the valley grew larger, and he could see that the clouds there were curled up like soft pillows, as if tired from their journey across the plains. The air grew calm and still, and the only sound was the gentle murmur of the breeze. It was unlike any place he had ever seen before, and he wondered if this was some trick of the light, or a vision brought on by the storm. But the peace and quiet were so inviting that he decided to stay. He spent the rest of the day exploring the valley, and the longer he stayed, the more he loved it. He walked among the clouds, soft and squishy beneath his feet, and marveled at the stillness. It was as if the world outside this valley did not exist. When night fell, he found a bed of clouds to sleep on, and looked up at the sky, no longer filled with the roar of the storm, but with the soft glow of starlight. As he lay there watching the stars, he realized that the storm had not just led him to this valley, it had carried him home. For though he had set out chasing the storm, it had ended up chasing him, bringing him to a place of peace he never knew he needed. And as he drifted off to sleep, he knew that he would never forget this night or the journey that brought him here. When the sun rose the next morning, the Storm Chaser woke up, feeling refreshed and renewed. The storm had passed and left behind a perfect rainbow, a reminder of the wild beauty that had brought him home. And as he looked out over the peaceful valley, he knew that he had found a place where the clouds curl up to sleep and dreams are made of stardust.